Good afternoon this Thursday, May the 7th. Next week, Tuesday, is our next WASDE crop report. And so we're going to quickly take a look at the numbers that are expected, just kind of the standout stuff, and then we'll get into the media action of what happened today. As we do old crop stocks, as you can see, there's expectation for a slight increase. I believe they're going the wrong way on this. Our exports have been so strong that the USDA is going to have to increase our export pace by another 100 million to maybe 150 million bushels. That means this should be coming down to 2 billion bushels. I don't know. I do agree with this guy here. I don't know who this guy was, but nonetheless, that's our average going in the next week. Maybe they will come in lower, and that'll kind of perk the market up because this number then, of course, translates down to here, which is already coming down. Beans, they are bringing it off slightly. Crush has been fabulous, and so that is affecting the grain stocks, old crop. The wheat trade, right now, the old stocks number down just 5 million bushels. I'm not sure where they came up with that. I didn't go deep into the numbers on it. But as we go to the new crop stocks, well, obviously, 1,900,000,000 can get slipped lower if they get truthful on what our carryout number really is up here with our export pace. That's just running hot. 1.35 million metric tons sold this morning. On the weekly sales, the prospects of this just on that alone gets you down to 1.8 or less. Any weather problems in June or July, you got the corn market bolting into that $5.50, $6 range. Nobody saw that coming basically in February, and that potentially exists out there. On the beans, the forum was 355. Everybody's kind of holding on that. Acreage number probably could be even higher, so this could grow. That's kind of where this guy's at, I'm sure, is he's jumping the bean acreage number when we get to June 30th. On the wheat, well, this is kind of being filtered in on that Kansas crop, but even still, this number I think can be a lot lower yet because as we get to that in the wheat number, we're going to go to the corn production. Now, these are non-objective. What that means is the acreage they're using it on was not from actual data on the field. That comes out of the June 30th when they send out the cards for farmers to sign what they actually did put in the ground. So for right now, we're running with production guess of just under 16 billion bushels. The number of yield is 182.8, just under the trend line number of 183. Bean production, well, they're going to leave the yield at 53. Obviously, the production could be a bit higher on acreage when we get that number on June 30th. Now on the wheat, the one I'd have at odds with is this hard red winter wheat number. There is no way on God's green earth, and some area of that earth is not green anymore, that number is going to be 638 million bushels. That number is going to be up below 600, probably closer to 575, as I believe Kansas is going to be under 250 million bushels. The soft wheat crop, could be all of this, if not a little bit higher. So the all wheat number, when it does come together, is going to be below 1.7 billion, well under last year's numbers. If you're getting value from this video and want more, just check out our daily newsletter. Each morning, we send a market summary to start your day, plus deep dive analysis, trade alerts, breaking news, and videos just like this. Whether you're a farmer, trader, or just tracking the markets, it's a great way to stay ahead. Start a free trial by scanning the QR code on screen or clicking the link in the description. Call us at 701-222-0221 or visit heartlandinvest.com. All right. Grains. We've seen the oil market plummet into Monday. I'll show you that chart in a second. And then bouncing mid-session today as news came out. I carry this financial juice on the corner of my screen so I see stuff. And breaking. U.S. looking to restart Project Freedom to unlock the Strait of Hormuz. That's because I really believe it. I'm the only guy tweeting it out there that I believe Iran is going to do a Zelensky. They're going to blow this thing. And now they want to start registering boats going through the Strait of Hormuz, which there's no way Trump's going to allow for that. So when that came out, we seen the crude oil, which earlier in the day was back down at $90. This is a 6-hour chart, by the way. Here's the hammer time down to below 90 earlier in the week. That would have been Tuesday morning when they said we're going to have a deal, which we don't. Those mullahs are going to mess it up again, and we're going to see this crude oil. You can just see this. This is a 6-hour chart going back to the first high and the second high. And you can just see before the week is out, probably going to somehow be back at $100 on this crude oil heading into the weekend because Trump likes doing his stuff over the weekend, and arguments will probably take place when that occurs. I bring this to your attention because that's probably what's going to bounce the grains. On the wheat, well, this dog won't hunt after making the initial high at 720. I did think our fourth wave was going to be more of an A, B, C, and that's why we stepped in and did a spec trade rebuy here. And well, we're underwater on that thing. And we had to go all the way back to the breakout today. Now, plausibly, that could be our low on this wave four. They might stick their nose in a little deeper. If we did a full 50% retracement of here to here, you get 658. So maybe they snaked out yet before we turn back up. And what turns us back up, you may ask? Well, next week is the Kansas Wheat Tour. And they're going to see the mess that that thing really is. And reports will probably start realizing that, gee, maybe the Kansas wheat crop might be closer to 250 or less on that crop. And that'll give us a bounce in here. Maybe not a bounce back to new highs. We might not get that. We might get what's called a failed fifth, which at least allows us to retrace what occurred on April 29th. Because you heard me say many times in April, we get this rally into April 23rd through May 1st. After May 1st, it's hard to be long, even though we're trying it right now. Bounce could occur at minimum to about 684, kind of get us out of this wheat lawn that we have on right now. But it should theoretically rally back into the box, at least for a failed fifth. And that box would mean probably taking a run at $7, like they were doing all these nights, highs of 701, 702, and stall out there. That could be the extent of that, and then we die again because here comes harvest, and we have to steal the crop, make a low sometime in mid-June instead of after the 4th of July, and then start a new rally all over again. Obviously, the reason for the selling is that we know there's no crop out there, but we're still above world valuations, and so we don't need your wheat. Well, we need to keep KC wheat elevated so we don't export any because we won't have it to export. On the corn, December, we got within a 4 1/4 cents of our breakout target. Even though I had my sell at 509 for hedges, we did have guys snagging the 5+. It was solid when we were selling out of that old crop corn at 481.5 to 483 on July. We were seeing the farmers, we were picking up some new crop sales here. But I do think holding the 20-day like this, Trump's heading to China next week. Could probably get an impulse back up to near $5. Do a little head, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then roll over until we get weather problems from El Nino maybe this summer. So we'll see. Bounces probably in the making, and from the mullahs blowing it up and sending crude oil back over $100, that gets our corn back up there. And I put pretty good odds that they're going to mess this up. Beans, we had a stair-stepping target. This thing started since December of 2024, the stair steps. I don't even show the one from before, but each stair step has been hitting. And now the next stair step is saying 12.14 to 12.15. You got the $12, so maybe the crude oil blows up again. We got one more shot at this before we probably get our May high, and then we do the summer break. Now, going into cattle. There was that hard break during the session right out of the chute in the morning. And I discussed this in yesterday's newsletter that we could get a C-wave decline on it. Well, it seems like when I predict a decline, it happens immediately the next morning. Nonetheless, here's the reason for it. Rumors are that President Trump, with his phone call with President Lula of Brazil, was going to increase imports of beef. Well, we don't know that for sure, other than he did say they were going to talk about tariffs, and they didn't get into very specifics. More meetings to come in months to come. Maybe they do increase the quota for beef out of Brazil. But for the most part, nothing was agreed upon. What we do know is cattle did trade at 258 in the South today. And this chart I showed you yesterday in A, B, and I said a possible C-wave break. Well, lo and behold, here it was. We got our C-wave break. Now, whether that's it, we'll see. This line is kind of good. With our discount to cash, we're probably going to see this market try to make a pushback up again. Whether we get through 58 or not, we'll see. I do have a 262 measured target for this market. That would fit the current momentum that the cattle market seems to have, but there's no guarantees. What I do think is a challenge of recent highs are still in the makings. Feeder cattle, if you go look at yesterday's newsletter, I said a C-wave break. We got that, but we didn't do like cattle and bust as hard. If we'd have matched cattle, we went limit down and got somewhere close to here before bouncing. So we'll see if this bounce continues, or maybe they do want to take a run at the trend line and the moving average in here, which is very important support. 360, we don't want to close below this on a Friday. That's doomsday if we do. For right now, we're struggling to get over 375.5 on a closing basis. Pull that off, we're retesting the fall highs that the spot contract made at the 383, 383 and a half level. This is Eugene Grainer with Heartland Investor Capital Management. I hope you find this information useful.